Go away. No.
Exploring the wildlife, people may come across animals that lure them in with their innocent faces and gentle interactions. It's only when that interaction turns into frightening, shocking, and unbelievable encounters do humans realize that they have messed with the wrong opponent. So, let's get into it. Elephant charges at man. After noticing the photographer clicking pictures from behind the tree, the elephant decided to reveal its face. And while rushing towards the man, it was about to hit him when it stopped. And stopped right in front of the man's face with just a wave. But how? And for what possible reason? That's something that not even the photographer knows. But he told the people that, scared of the advancing elephant, he couldn't think of anything else other than raising his hand. And luckily, it worked, as the elephant just stood there, as if there was a glass wall between the two of them. Near-miss attack. With the onlookers shouting and literally begging the man to come up, he could not make out a word of what they were saying.
¡Vámonos!
Hey.
¡Vámonos!
But after struggling for a few seconds, he finally understood that there was a croc approaching, slowly but with purely bad intentions. The man took a small leap backwards out of his defensive instinct, which eventually became his savior. With a swiftly approaching crocodile, that's how the man saved himself. Mountain lion stares. While going on a hike, one thing that hikers fear is to encounter a mountain lion, because clearly not appreciating humans' visits in the jungle, they're often seen stalking and sometimes even attacking people. One such thing happened in Sequoia National Park, when a hiker came across a frustrated mountain lion. Sitting on the side of the track, the lion was glowering at the guys. One of them was asking what to do, as he'd never been in a similar situation. Now, the latter might have had no idea, but this one knew exactly what to do, and that was to never turn your back on the animal, and instead face the predator. But this trick is not supposed to work every time. In another such entry, a man with weapons in his hands, using them to scare off the mountain lion, could not stop it from stalking him. Told you, doesn't work every time. But don't worry, this guy ended up fine. Grizzly stalker. While finding a perfect spot for camping, the group was surprised when they were welcomed by a grizzly. Though omnivores and usually residing along the rivers and woodlands with streams flowing inside, not much could be said about their behavior, as they are unpredictable. They can sometimes attack humans if provoked, and there's no precise strategy that will ensure the victim's safety. Like here, when at first, following the hunter, the Siberian bear pounced on him. And even though not a grizzly, Siberian bears weigh as much as an American bear, and they're too unpredictable. But luckily, with a weapon to defend himself, this hunter was able to scare off the angry bear. Moose hunting gone wrong. Hunting is a tricky thing, and especially when it comes to hunting down a giant moose. No one's sure about how it will end. A man was aiming at a moose with just a few feet of distance and was certain that he would get the moose this time. But things took an unexpected turn, because right when the man thought the arrow would strike the moose, it missed. But furious at the attack, the moose came straight at the man, forcing him to leave everything and run. And well, what else can you expect from a man when a 6-foot-tall and more than 1,000-pound animal is coming towards him? Rhino versus tourist jeep. Not a race, but actually it's a chase that's going on. Rhinos are often seen coming at tourist vehicles, and that's absolutely justifiable, as with not so clear vision, they consider any unknown scent as their enemy. Sometimes it's humans, and sometimes it's objects like cars and trees. Thinking of them as a threat, the only thing these rhinos know to do is attack. It could be just a long chase in most cases, but sometimes they can show a bit more aggression and will go for a mighty strike, which never ends well. Like here in Jaldapara National Park in Bengal, a rhino literally caused the Jeep to roll down the road. Giraffe chases. Not only rhinos, but giraffes too are quite unhappy with the continuous visits from humans, and would sometimes show their frustrations to people. Like here, when tourists visiting the safari at a national park in Kenya had a frightening experience when a giraffe, never accused of such a thing, decided to rewrite its behavioral history and went after the Jeep, ditching the giraffe for 2 long minutes. It was when the Jeep came on a pond, they stopped and let the long-necked animal make its way. But it was not ready to leave them alone anytime soon. It turned back when the car reversed. Because the video cuts in the middle of the chase, what happens next is not known. Deer tricks hunter. If you think of deer as calm and virtuous animals, then get ready to be proved wrong, as this is one of the very few pieces of evidence when the deer revealed its true self. This hunter jumped in excitement of finally getting a buck down from a distance of 30 yards, but was shocked when he reached the deer and it jumped and came straight at the man, as if taking revenge for the strike. But don't judge them too harshly, as they do not always act the same way. Sometimes, scared of unknown predators, they're seen approaching people in desperate hours. Scary bear ambushes. These campers, already struggling with their boat, did not have any idea that another terrifying thing is waiting in line to happen. Just when one of the men was trying to get the drowning pedal, they spotted 3 young cubs of a bear along the river. And right after, they heard the angry mother bear growling, which was actually a signal for her cubs to come back. But scared of the men, the bear did not waste any time and came straight for them. Therefore, terrified of the approaching bear, the campers had to launch a warning strike, which luckily worked, as all of them returned back to the woods. Lion strike photographer. Exhibiting ultimate courage, the cameraman captures the unbelievable moment of a lioness approaching him. While filming a wounded lioness in an African national park, the photographer could not predict what was about to happen. Therefore, while on his knees to record the once-in-a-lifetime moment of a lioness resting just a few inches away, he had one of the most chilling encounters when she, considering him a threat, decided to come straight at him. And without flinching, he then moved back, luckily capturing the lioness on time. The wildlife team saved the man. Polar bear jumps glass box. Trying to find even the tiniest hole, the polar bear is determined to get inside this glass box. Scared and amazed at the same time, the wildlife photographer, who especially came to the Arctic Norway to film the polar bear family interacting with each other, was paid a visit by Mama Bear, scratching, hitting, and pushing the glass box with its paws. The bear seemed annoyed by the sealed box. Smelling the scent of the outsider and considering him its food inside the cube, the bear cannot accept the fact that he is actually unapproachable. But she gave up and went back to her cubs, after trying for at least 45 minutes. Gator chases fisherman. A man was tarpon fishing along the Floridian woods, and everything was going well until he caught a fish. As he spotted the reel, that's when the hiding predator showed itself, and coming out of the water, it surprised the man, and, well, literally shocked him, though the man moved backward to avoid it. But quickly coming at him, an alligator gave him no choice but to run. Running for some time, it was when he turned around that he spotted the alligator right there. What did he do? He ran again, and eventually got rid of the stalking predator. Elephants chase tourist. Because chasing the vehicle did not do the trick, elephants decided to come up with something different. Therefore, teaching them a life lesson, they ran after the tourists in Cougar National Park. At first, the Tuskers were caught chasing a safari vehicle in Cougar National Park, and they were just about to hit the vehicle when the men started shouting at them with the intention to frighten them. And luckily, it worked. As scared of the loud voices, they went in the other directions. But for the second time, they could not control themselves and rushed towards the tourists who had gotten out of their vehicle and taught them how dangerous it could be. Crocodile versus Cameraman. Never missing a chance to strike at their oldest enemies, by which I mean cameras, of course. Crocs are often seen biting or tearing them apart. Here, a cameraman was setting his camera to capture a perfect shot of the partially visible croc under the water, but made just one mistake, which was to turn his back on the lurking predator, and, well, was immediately taught a lesson. As taking advantage, the sneaky beast came out of the pond and almost chewed the camera. A similar thing happened here when the cameraman was chased by the crocodile.
Which way are you going?
Tiger attacks safari vehicle. While the group was enjoying the cub in the forest, they did not realize that a tiger was present there too. It was when they heard the growl filled with anger that they got to know of the ambushing predator. Following them through the woods, the tiger stayed with the jeep for a few seconds, but luckily went back into the jungle and did not pursue them for any longer. But nothing could beat this scariest encounter when the biker, while passing through the Kerala Wildlife Sanctuary, had a close encounter with a running tiger and was only saved by a few inches. Close encounter with Hippo. Catching the sight of the ascending danger, this man making a documentary in the African National Park climbed a tree to protect himself. Happening just when the man was preparing his camp, the intrusive animal forced the man to leave the burning logs and quickly hide from sight. But because sensing someone's presence there, the Goliath animal wandered around the camp for some time before going back. And this man is taking refuge by standing on a tiny branch, while the hippo eats and roams freely. Face to face with Leopard. Even though known for attacking without any warning, this man and a leopard shared a quite calm yet incredible moment together. While visiting the African wildlife, the tourist had a once-in-a-lifetime experience when a young leopard came up to a man sitting on a vehicle. And, curious to see the shoe on his feet, he gently scratched it with its paws and even sniffed it, trying to recognize the smell. But curious about the new thing, it was when the leopard bit the outsole of the shoe that the forest guide turned on the engine to alert him. And, well, scared of the sudden sound, the leopard went back to the forest. Gorilla joins explorers. Usually interacting with humans in a more friendly way, gorillas sometimes like to spread panic among people with their huge size and strength. Like here, when a group of explorers were forced to go back to their vehicle by a charging gorilla, who luckily did not attack them, but sent signals that it does not want them to be here. And here, sitting on the ground at the beginning, the mighty animal then stood up and reached one of the visitors by beating his chest, which they quite often do to show how big they are and how much strength they have to knock down their rivals. Bison run toward tourists. Known as prehistoric animals, bisons play a major role in North America's history and are considered the majestic animals that have survived for long times. Because they are only found in Yellowstone National Park of America, they are visited by many tourists. But an unexpected thing happened with the tourists who came to see this huge animal, as at first staying calm, it was when the people became casual with the bison and came a little too close that it lost its temper and went after them. Though the rest of the people came out of the bison's way on time, it was the small kid who the mighty buffalo decided to pursue. But luckily, the kid outran the angry stalker and safely returned to his parents. Lion licks car. Even though it's not a terrifying encounter, it's definitely a shocking one, as two lions in Knowsley National Park forced to stop a car by coming in front of them. But stopping it was not what they wanted, so they started licking the bonnet. Perhaps they thought of it as a meal, because the only time they're seen licking something is when they want to clean off the hair from their food to get better access to its meat. Or perhaps they were just curious, because tasting the car and almost biting the side mirror with their strong jaws, they moved on to the next one. Explorers meet hyenas. Famous as vicious beasts, hyenas are expected to tear anything that comes in their face, but act completely differently when they encounter people. When the people in the lion sands of South Africa came across a pair of hyenas wandering around, they thought it would end in a run and chase moment, but surprisingly it didn't. Because approaching the jeep cautiously, the hyenas seemed more scared of the people. Sniffing the man's hand, it was when he moved it a bit that the two got scared and took a few steps backward, clearly exhibiting the fear they were feeling. Lion enters tent. Playing the roles of an uninvited guest and a hungry predator at the same time, a lion decided to barge into the tents of these explorers. Resting after spending a long day in the jungle, the men luckily spotted the approaching danger on time and took refuge inside their jeep. Even after watching them from a safe side, it was the sight of the lion which gave the men chills. Though that was just a lion here, explorers from India witnessed a whole family of lions barging into their camp, with the cubs wandering around and the lions inspecting everything as if it was their own. No doubt a scary encounter, but they did give the campers something to remember for their whole lives. Cape Buffalo hits. These tourists were spending a good time on a boat when a Cape Buffalo decided to ruin their day. Frowning at them from the ground in the beginning, the buffalo then came straight at them. Not realizing what was going on at first, when they got to know the intentions of the coming beast, it was already too late, as the buffalo was almost an inch away from hitting the boat. Because the video ends disruptively, what happens next could not be known. The Cape Buffaloes are on the list of the top 10 deadliest animals in Africa. And here, coming face to face with the man, he was lucky that it did not attack him. Cougar versus hiker. Coming across a cougar's cub, thinking it might be alone, the man thought of it as a good chance to capture it. But as he was getting nearer, he was surprised by the mother cougar. Furious at the man approaching it, it pounced at him. Scared but showing resilience, he kept moving backward, but looked straight in the eyes of the angry mama so that it wouldn't attack him. But it turned into a long chase as the mountain lion continued to follow him on the track. Waiting for any tiny mistake from him, the lion jumped when the hiker stumbled a little, but shouting really hard, he was eventually able to send off the predator. Kangaroo hits car. Driving on a deserted road, thinking he might come across an apparition, the man was shocked when the kangaroo came in front of him. Coming out from behind the bushes, spotting the car, at first the jumpy animal stopped in the middle of the road and moved back. But then the demonic thought took over its mind and it jumped right on the windshield, almost breaking it. But luckily, it could not damage it properly. Cheetah versus car. Where safaris bring people closer to Mother Nature, sometimes they bring them even closer to wild, dangerous animals. One such incident happened with this man when a cheetah jumped into their jeep. Considering the situation and the hyperactive cheetah, the guide advises them to remain frozen in their place and not to move until it leaves the car. Examining the sunroof, the leather on the seats, and behaving like a potential car buyer, it causes the man to freeze for a whole 10 minutes. And here, a whole group of cheetahs jumped right over the Jeep. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.